Namaste, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. This is Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. Today, we are going to do a multidimensional analysis on the astrological, numerological, and alchemical energy of the new moon. This was such a fun presentation to get together for you guys. I am so excited to give it to you. I'm in the middle of a 4 shift week and I had a little bit of energy. So I said, all right, let me get this down for you because this new moon is coming. So, welcome, you guys. For those of you that don't know me and you're new to my channel, I am a physician astrologer. I am a practicing obstetrician gynecologist and I deliver babies. So, I often tell people when I am not catching the star seeds, I am watching the stars. And indeed, I do that. I spend a lot of time thinking about these energies for you guys to help guide you on a spirit led path by decoding the stars. And today's lesson is amazing. It came to me when I was at the beach with my aunt and uncle. We spent the day there earlier this week, and we were just catching up. And my auntie, she like, so we were at the beach, and she said, "Have you heard of the new COVID variant?" And I said, "No, I haven't." She said, "Yeah, they called it NIMBUS." I said, "NIMBUS?" Nimbus is the broomstick from Harry Potter, the Nimbus 2000. It was like the latest and greatest broomstick. And somehow Harry Potter got his hands on one and became the best Quidditch player ever. So I laughed because I said, that is just such a silly name. And I thought about it and I said, I've heard Nimbus before, cumulonimbus clouds. I said, let me dive into this word. What is this word about? And it led me down a rabbit hole. And then, Spirit said, all right, let's talk about the power of naming. So, the first part of the presentation I have for you, we're going to go over that, like examples of naming things, how it either takes away your power or how it gives you power. And when someone explains something to you and gives names to things for you, you'll be able to watch yourself how easily you accept those names. And the funny thing is you have a choice. So, for example, me hearing the word Nimbus made me laugh. It didn't have the effect that I think the creators of that new variant name thought it would have. Maybe to instill fear or maybe to think there's something magical about it. Or they could have just been joking when they named it, which opens up a whole other, rabbit hole you could go down. Is this a joke? Are they playing a trick on us? Are they trying to get us to see who will actually be scared by giving it all these crazy names? So anyway, I will show you that rabbit hole. We have some numerology involved, and I decided that I'm going to use the Scrabble cipher for this, and I'll explain why when we get in there. But I think that's everything. I don't have a whole lot of announcements right now. I think I blurted them all out on my last video, so everything still applies. I'll be seeing Stellar Foundations this week. We're doing office hours number 3. We're going to talk about why astrology works and how to defend your position as an astrologer and why you practice astrology. It's very, very useful if you want to become someone that speaks about astrology. If you have these few not techniques, but just ideas or thoughts in your head, these philosophies, they can help you have a very nice intellectual discourse with someone who maybe isn't sure about astrology or doesn't know a lot about astrology. You can talk to them about why you do it. So it's super helpful. The book is doing great. I've gotten some really, really wonderful reviews and reactions for it. It just continues to really honor me and move me the way that it's affecting you. And that's been my vision. That's been my dream. So I appreciate all of you that have bought that book. I appreciate all of you that are members to this channel. You surprised me when you came out of nowhere and started, joining my channel membership. It was really, really awesome. And so we are going to do our first members only Zoom call this week, probably Wednesday evening. Actually, it is Wednesday evening. I scheduled it. So members, please check the post section on my channel so you can get the Zoom link. Those of you in Stellar Foundations are also invited. So please check your emails and the Facebook group. So we'll be doing that. If you want to join this first call, go ahead and sign up and become a channel member. It's only $4.99. You can come to the call and then you can cancel your membership whatever you want to do. I'm here for you. You guys have shown me that you want to support me on another level, and so I'm going to support you on a higher level as well. So I appreciate all of you for that. I really, really do. And for those of you that are just here and just watching, I appreciate you. Thank you for giving this channel a chance and listening to some of these teachings that I have created. They're from the Akashic record. It's not like it's anything that's new, but using astrology and using my own personal viewpoint on it to bring it through to you is absolutely my honor. And you won't get a presentation like this anywhere on the internet. I don't think there's anyone that talks about constellational astrology, spiritual sovereignty, and autonomy using other methods like numerology and alchemology. There are other decoders, but the way that I present it and the level of expertise that I have in certain fields of knowledge, I can bring them together for you in a very metaphysical way that you can understand. So I will stop blathering on. We'll get into this. Okay, friends, before I dive into the PowerPoint presentation, which is over 100 slides, I wanted to show you the sky. Anytime we're going to do astrology, any type of astrology, we want to walk outside and we want to look up. And today's topic is the alignment of the sun and moon in its monthly solar lunar expression. This is the new moon. It's the beginning of a cycle. Okay, you guys always get so excited about those full moons, but really you should be watching these videos, these lunar cycle videos. One Sky Astrology does a great one. There's a bunch of others out there. You can join the Fellowship of 13 sign on Facebook and hear what they have to say about the entire lunar cycle. What you'll find is that if you tap into the energy at the new moon, the full moon's easier. It's not as crazy. It's not as, disruptive as others might say. So if you're catching the exciting memes about the full moon, you're in the cycle too late. I mean, you're going through it anyway, but isn't it more fun to have an awareness and to be able to, use the energy for your greatest good and for the good of others? I think so. And guys, we're using the actual sky here. So if you expected a tropical interpretation of this new moon, stick around because you might find this very interesting. Tropical astrology is going to have this sun moon combination, either in the very late stages of Gemini or Cancer. I actually don't know. But look at where it is. It's in between Taurus and Gemini. And it's June 25th of 2025. And Jupiter's conjunct this energy. Look at this, guys. You can't make this up. This is crazy. There's let's see if we turn this. They keep taking out Jupiter in and out. There we go. Now we can see them really closely. So here's the moon, here's sun, and here's Jupiter. Right there at the very sword tip of Orion. And here's Taurus and Gemini. Okay, so that is the position in space and time of this new moon conjunct Jupiter. I'm going to get into more of the astrological energy. But what I did want to point out to you is that because the sun is in Gemini, we're dealing with mental energy. We're dealing with thoughts. We're dealing with words. We're dealing with writing. We're dealing with technology. We're dealing with creative genius here in Gemini. We're not in that emotional, intuitive, flow, nurturing state of Cancer at the moment. This is the moment where we expand into our brain. We expand into learning. And the full moon for this cycle is in Sagittarius. So it's about wisdom and knowledge. And it got me thinking about that NIMBUS variant. What's that name actually mean? And then I thought, okay, what are some other examples of this? And we're going to go through all of it. So I'm very excited to share this presentation with you. Once I get through the teaching, we'll do the astrology in general. And then after that, we will go into a mini reading more specifically for your sun sign. So if you know where your constellational soul star sign is, that's your sun basically. If you know where that is, then you can click to the timestamp below and you will get a mini reading for the flavor of this lunation for you based on where your sun was the day you were born. So there's a link to a free chart calculator on my website, powered by Mastering the Zodiac. Click on that. put in your birth details. I don't even need your email. It will generate a chart for you that is accurate to the actual sky so you can see where your sun was. Warning, if you use it though, your sun sign might change if you've been used to tropical astrology, but it's so interesting how it changes. So I will get into the presentation now. So there I was, relaxing at the beach on the Gulf of Texas, and we were having this conversation about this new COVID variant called the NIMBUS. And immediately my mind went right into the NIMBUS 2000. And so we're going to discuss the NIMBUS, what that word means. We're going to do some decoding with it. There's decodes sprinkled all throughout this until we get to the new and full moon reading and the soul star sign. So these 5 topics here will have a bit of code breaking in them. And then these will be astrology decodes down here. So we have numerology and concepts, and then we have astrology down here. So we'll start with the NIMBUS. Sounds kind of scary, right? These are the ciphers I'll be using during the decodes throughout this presentation. I chose Scrabble because I haven't used it in a while. And what's so interesting about when you think about how to name something, the Scrabble cipher came, the reason the numbers are what they are, they come from the game, but the original numbers that were assigned to these letters in the Scrabble cipher were based on the frequency of the letters used. So how often is a letter used, for example, in a given set of texts? And obviously Q's and Z's are not used that often. So they would be assigned a higher value, while A and E and I, all the vowels, are assigned a 1 because almost every word has one or more of these vowels. So that's why the letters in the Scrabble cipher get a certain energy, a certain frequency of numbers. It's based on their actual frequency of use. And you use the Scrabble letters to spell words, to name something. You get a stack of 7 letters in your tray, and you get to rearrange them into a word, and a word that will have the most impact in the game that you're playing. Now, there's some rules with Scrabble. Those of you that are not familiar with Scrabble, I'm not playing Scrabble in this. I'm just using that frequency of use energy with that particular cipher. So that's our main key. I do use the ancient Greek once. And then, of course, my favorite, the Phi cipher, which is awesome when you're talking about astrology and planetary energies. It's the golden angle Phi is literally like the basic code for the spinning circle, the spiraling circle, to create matter from energy. And I have a lot of decodes on that. So do check out some of my playlists and my previous videos on how amazing this number is. So let's get into this. So NIMBUS, here's the NIMBUS 2000, the broomstick, the amazing broomstick that Harry Potter rode so that he could be a champion Quidditch player. And NIMBUS itself, just the word, is a luminous vapor, a cloud or atmosphere about a god or a goddess when on Earth. Isn't that interesting? So they put this example of this angelic person. It's probably one of the saints or the Mother Mary with the halo around her head. That's a nimbus. That's literally a nimbus. And so isn't it interesting that we all seem to have this nimbus type? Maybe it's not a vapor or a cloud, but it is our energy field. Okay. So this emanation could be called a nimbus. Our own emanations could be called a nimbus. Your aura is your nimbus. So it's a radiant light or glory about the head of a drawn or sculptured divinity, saint, or sovereign. And it is also associated with rain or thunder clouds. And it probably means because they're vaporous and cloudy, So it's this amorphous material that it seems to surround divinity and conscious thought. So interesting. Here's the name of the new variant. It's NB181, also known as NIMBUS. And so it basically, it's a sore throat, a razor blade throat. Okay. what they're doing here by giving names to these things, they realized how powerful it was to call this thing COVID-19, market the hell out of it, and terrify people. I'm not saying people didn't struggle or suffer with the virus. We get these viruses all the time. What I'm saying is the way that it was marketed. And each time they come out with a new variant, it works less and less and less. The original impact is less and less and less. I don't know. There's very few people that are terrified of COVID. If you're one of those people and you have those, if you're terrified of it and you have your reasons, I'm not questioning that in any way, shape, or form. Okay. I'm just saying there's some strange stuff around this, naming these things. Okay. They do it with storms, they do it with diseases. It's amazing how the power of a name can be used to invoke a response, to invoke an emotional response. And that emotional response is what helps us create. So I wanted to look at where I could find 181 and see what kind of energies pop up for us. And tantalum, the element tantalum has an atomic weight of 180 and 181. It's the closest element in the periodic table that shares this energy. So I said, okay, cool. Tantalum. It is Greek for tantalos. And this is where I use the Greek cipher. And I got the number 106. So in numerology, you can drop the 0 because it's infinite potential. And so we have a 16 here. We have a 1 and a 6. And isn't it interesting in the Scrabble cipher, coronavirus is 16. So there's a nice little connection there, just using, the ciphers that I'm familiar with. And the way this works, guys, if you're not familiar with decoding, is that regardless of whatever key you're using, you will find these connections. This is just the path that I went down. And so, for example, if you were decoding and you used Chaldean for this, you might find some other interesting connections that tie it together. These synchronicities are always there and always waiting to be seen if you have the eyes to see them. And I'm showing them to you because I just think it's so beautiful and so amazing that you can actually pull the synchronicities out of the ether to show the connection that you're trying to make. There's that broomstick again. The NIMBUS. So a flying broomstick is 33. And you guys know how much I love the number 33 with these decodes. So I thought that was really synchronous, that this is sort of the underlying code speaking to me and saying, there's your nimbus. Now the number 73 is a prime number. It is the 21st prime. 33s in Scrabble is 21. So you see how this can work? These tight little loops that say, yep, there's a synchronicity, there's a connection, just to make the point about the name of the thing. It's important. It resonates. Here's some other names of the variants. In case you haven't been keeping up, the first 5 were circa 2020, 2022, and the ones following that, you see how much more creative they have to get when they get down to 20 different viruses. I mean, we've got Centaurus, we've got Cerberus, we've got Kraken, Arcturus. They're using the star names now, which is super interesting. So there's some names if you guys want to take that and decode those. I thought about it, but I ran out of time. So some of those might have connections to what we're discussing today. But see how the name's important? It elicits a response, even subconscious responses that you're not aware of. Storms. Let's talk about storms, because the same energy happens when we've got a big storm coming. Now, whether this is nefarious or just to keep people informed and aware, because, the general collective, you tell them a storm's coming, they're going to be like Lieutenant Dan. You call that a storm? Hanging out on the top mast of the ship. So, by giving it a name and saying it's Andrea is a category 5. There is no Andrea yet, but Andrea, as an example, is a category 5, and she's doing this. They even give it a gender. You know what I mean? So it's like, or it could be Andrea. However you want to pronounce it. But pronunciation is also important too. So here's our family of storms for the 2025 Atlantic season, which thankfully has not started yet. And The reason we have names for them is to create and elicit an emotional response. And I've often wondered, if we pay attention to these storms and their movements with such emotional intensity and focus, if we're not giving it more energy. You know what I mean? Like, would let's say tropical storm Andrea, because it's feminine, or maybe it elicits something that's not as threatening, is only a category 1. But what if we gave it the name Satan, and that tropical storm developed into a category 5? I mean, I'm just sort of like stream of consciousness off the cuff here, but you see my point. It's like the way it's named, how it's pronounced, and the emotional response it elicits can help manifest the storm or unmanifest its power. And I have seen examples, or I have witnessed examples, where storms do strange things, and human intention, especially in a large, if like there's more than 7,000, I think, meditating on the same thing, they can either decrease or increase the energy of something. I've witnessed that. There's something to this. And I forgot to mention this pronunciation. They even give you a list on their website on how to pronounce these names. So pronunciation is very important. Not only are we going to give you this name, but we're going to tell you how to say it too. We're going to tell you how to spell it. We're going to tell you how to speak it. So you are being inadvertently used for some sort of spell casting here. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm not saying that this particular example is a bad energy or an evil energy. I'm just saying they're giving you a name. They're telling you how to spell it. They're telling you how to speak it. They're telling you how to pronounce it so that you will speak it and spell it and pronounce the existence of this energy. Okay, just food for thought, something to think about when we are getting wound up in the news stories we see on television. So I wanted to put all of these names, I believe I spelled them all correctly, into the Scrabble cipher. You can't use actually proper nouns in Scrabble. It's one of the rules. You can't put like I can't put my name in there, Danny. But for the purposes of deciphering the energy in terms of a spelling, Scrabble just felt really appropriate. And I got 216. Now, I don't know if you guys know anything about 216. It's very, very interesting. We'll get into that in a second. But what you'll notice is that there are 5 names missing, because we're not including Q, we're not including U, and we're not including X, Y, and Z. Okay, so there are names missing. So it's not necessarily what's actually being pronounced, it's what's not being pronounced. And I thought it was so interesting when I put Q, U, X, Y, Z, which are the least frequent letters used in Scrabble, and I combine them for this example, I get another 33. So just a nice little pat on the back, God wink from Spirit. Check this out. 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. 666 is not an evil number. Here's just a nice little juicy example of how even numbers can become the name, right? 666, mark of the beast. It's evil. It's not an evil number. It's actually quite a resonant number, right? 6s are the first perfect number. And if you multiply that times 3, that's a magical way to enhance an intention or a spell, is to multiply it by 3. So there's a little spell casting in these names. I don't know that it's necessarily nefarious, but now when you see a named storm in the Atlantic, you will think twice. And when people start talking about it, you will also look at the way you're having the conversation in a much different light, because a storm doesn't have gender. A storm doesn't have right or wrong. It's not conscious in the way that we think of consciousness. It's just doing what it's supposed to do. And if its name has to be Tanya, then what kind of energy does Tanya elicit for you, and how does that storm change your perspective of it? You see this in the healing arts too, not just medicine and pharmaceuticals, but also in all of our healing arts, right? We have the caduceus and the rod of Asclepius. Which one is actually the one we should be using for medicine? It's the one on the left, right? The one on the right is something that was adopted by the Coast Guard, but the rod of Asclepius is much more ancient for the healing arts. Asclepius is 13, and 13 is such an amazing number. It's the 13th sign, right? It's Ophiuchus. Asclepius is part of the mythology of the energy of Ophiuchus. 13 breaks the pattern. Ophiuchus puts his foot in the middle of that zodiac ring and shows us the weak spot, shows us the break in that karmic wheel, and shows us the way out, the way to rise above, the way to graduate. Caduceus is also 13 in the Scrabble cipher. So they're both about healing. They're both about Ophiuchus, but one's got a different name. The other one's got another name, even though they both have the same energy. Medicine is 13. This is me in my office. And we do this all the time, right? A patient comes in, they don't know what they have. They have no idea what's going on. They've just got a few symptoms and they've come to seek my knowledge and advice to figure out what's going on with them and to feel better. They come in, they tell me their symptoms, and I say, this is what you have. Please don't worry about it. Here's what you can do to feel better. And all of a sudden, the patient feels better. I don't know if you guys experience this, but before I was in medicine, the same thing would happen. I would go to the doc with some weird symptoms and I'd talk to the doctor and then I'd leave and I felt better. And sometimes the prescription that they gave me, I didn't even go fill it, or I only took part of it. So it's that power of naming the thing that we don't have a name for that can be incredibly therapeutic and healing. And don't we do that in our healing arts, even if it's not, straight up allopathic medicine you're doing, if you're just counseling somebody or if you're doing energy work on them? That's me in my office when I was when I had my own private patients. And my mom actually knits these hats, or used to, when her hands were a little bit more limber, and she would send me boxes of hats. And whenever somebody would bring their baby for the postpartum visit, I'd put the hat on and we'd take a picture with them. So I have thousands of these pictures, and I thought this would be cute. And of course I had to cover the baby's face, just, because that's someone's baby. It's from a couple of years ago. And then of course my dad gave me that picture there, which was pretty cool. And that was hung up in my office. And, so you look at it and you think you're looking at like a disease poster or like an educational poster. It turns out to be a parody on the Pink Floyd song, Comfortably Numb. So yeah, we do it in medicine. The pharmaceutical companies give their drugs these strange names that elicit curiosity. So you will talk to your doctor about these medications. There's even a case where I used to work for GlaxoSmithKline Beecham, the makers of Zyban and Wellbutrin. And they were a huge company, global company. And the location I was at, we had one of the bigwigs come and visit us. And he was talking about drug pipelines. And he said, it's getting to the point where in order to be a profitable pharmaceutical company, we're going to have to start creating diseases so that we can start working on them. Then we introduce the disease and then we have the drug. So it stuck with me because I said, that just sounds so bizarre. Why would you create a disease so that you can sell a drug? And his whole point was because pharmaceutical companies do good work, but it's so hard there's tons of money that gets pumped into research and development, and it's not a profitable business, right? So I say, well, okay. But even if you're not into all that, if you've already shunned the traditional medical system and the pharmaceutical industries, which I don't blame you if you have, maybe you go to energy healers. They've got names for all this stuff too. So that funny feeling you get in your back, well, maybe it has to do with your heart chakra or your solar plexus chakra. Okay, now I have a name for that area of my body. Now I know what I need to unblock. Right? It makes it a little bit easier to deal with and to pinpoint. So it's very much medicine. Even though the medicine that I do has been so perverted by those that would try to profit from it and to control it, the alternative medicine is on the rise, but it's the same method. It's the same method of healing, naming, identifying, and making a plan to remedy it. That's more therapeutic than the actual remedy sometimes. We do it in astrology too, right? I mean, we've got this crazy anxiety. We feel like we want to punch somebody that we normally love. You talk to your astrologer and she says, no, you're not crazy. Mars square Pluto. Like, be so what does that do? If you know astrology, then you're like, that makes total sense. You kind of give yourself a break. So instead of like beating yourself up for getting into a fight or being argumentative with somebody that you care about, well, now you know what it is. Now you say, okay, I'm going to be a little easier on myself. I'm going to say, okay, I had that reaction, but it's not important because it's going to pass. All those beautiful therapeutic things can come from the work that you do as an astrologer too. And that's why I love it, because it's the greatest study on on the human psyche that there is. And it creates a language around it that everybody can understand. And it taps into the ancient memory that we have around archetypes and collective energies. It's fascinating. So fascinating. I love astrology. Speaking of the ancients, let's look into this a little bit more. So we have this idea of naming something, of spelling, of speaking, and to bring about a certain outcome. And it's the true name that's really the magic, right? So if you know something's true name, then you can gain dominion over it. Some examples of this: in Egyptian mythology, the goddess Isis could only gain supreme magical power by learning Ra's secret name. Isis in Scrabble is 1111, and it's 4. In Jewish mystic, so if she is so once she knew it, she healed him and became equal in his divine magic. So that's the power of the name in the Egyptians. That right there, that should really make you pause. And anytime something is named for you, to question it. Go ahead and question it. It might be fine. It might be totally fine. Like, that's great that you can name that storm Tanya if you want to, but know that it's there to elicit a certain energy. In Jewish mysticism, you have the tetragrammaton, which is the Yod He Vahe right here. Yod He Vahe. They read from right to left. The 4-letter name of God. It was so sacred that it couldn't even be spoken. So here's a word, here's a name that's so powerful. Even just whispering it was powerful. Yahweh, YHWH, is 4444. That's 16 in Scrabble. And I love that they're both, one is 1111 and the other one is 4444. It's just, there's a nice symmetry there. I went just a little bit deeper on this to see what I could find. And I got Ra's secret name is 17. And pronunciation is 17, right? So to pronounce, to give a name, to think of a name even, and to say it. Adam named the animals in the book of Genesis in the Bible. This was the act of assigning a thing's identity and role in the world is precisely what astrology does. It's precisely what medicine does to diseases and maladies. It's what the meteorologists do to storms. And it's what epidemiologists do with viruses. So this pattern shows up everywhere. And what that does is it gives the person who names the agency. And the thing that is unnamed is acted upon. Now, there needs to be consent there. Your name is given to you by your parents. So where's the dominion? Dominion is 11. To speak is 11. And spelling is 11. So we have this connection of these ones, the triple ones, the pattern of 3, saying it 3 times. Even in traditional cultures of the Europe and Northern European, Celtic and Northern European traditions, the Fae, the spirits, the otherworldly beings, to say that name would invoke it. But to give away your own name to such a being could mean giving them the power over your soul. So your own name is so important. You put your name in one of these ciphers and you can go down a rabbit hole on what your name means for you. So in stories like Rumpelstiltskin, the one who knows the name breaks the curse, right? Curse is 7. Spell is 7. Rumpelstiltskin is 23. The atomic mass of sodium is 11. And remember, speak is 11. So again, here is more sort of synchronous evidence underlying the energy that I'm trying to convey to you here, that what you say, what you speak, even what you think and whisper sometimes has power. And then saying it once, saying it twice, saying it three times. Beetlejuice is the perfect example. If you guys have seen the original movie back in the 80s or 90s, they have a new version out with pretty much all the same players, with the exception of the ghosts that were in the original movie. I think it was Gina Davis and God, I forgot his name. But at any rate, here's another activation just by speaking, just by saying the words. That's precisely what an activation is. If you guys ever have anyone do activations for you, or maybe you do activations for other people, what you're doing is you're speaking, you're saying, I wish to uncreate, destroy, and remove from all timelines, past and future, this energy. And just by having someone say that for you with an understanding of what you're dealing with helps set it into motion. I mean, it's really quite incredible. Beetlejuice is 13. To pronounce is 13. And then, of course, we want to bring this full circle and talk about the nimbus from this movie, from Harry Potter, right? So the one who must not be named. We can't say this guy's name, because if you say his name, then you will reinforce the collective fear and mythic status of this guy. We make a good point here that Dumbledore would always say Voldemort's name, saying, I'm not afraid of this creature. This is sovereignty over fear. So the name becomes this boundary line, those who fear the spell and those who break it. Voldemort is 15. The devil is 15. And phosphorus, the devil's element, is also 15. There's your tetragrammaton. So isn't that interesting? You know, when we think about the energy of the name, of saying something, every word that I'm saying is a label for an energy, for a concept, for a thought. I mean, we need these things. We need to have names. It's important. You guys know me as Dr. Danny, right? Most people know me as Dr. Danny. My patients would call me Dr. Inman, but my mom always still calls me Danielle. That's the name she gave me. That's who I am to her. Rarely does she ever say Danny. So it's these names are important. So there are people naming things for you right now, and you are consenting to it. There's nobody doing anything to you. They're simply naming things and you're accepting it. So corporations, governments, the names of illnesses, weather patterns, ideologies, even I'm naming things for you. Influencers name the trends, doctors name the medical conditions. But do we name our own reality? Do we name our own feelings? Do we name our own initiations? You certainly can do that. Hello, my name is 23, and it happens to be 13 letters. To pronounce, 23 is the Ace of Wands. This is the magician holding its wand in its full sovereign power. So what was the name of God, the creator? It was I am. So no matter what your name is, this is I am right here. So when you pronounce, when you say, I am sovereign, you are. You're sovereign. When you say, I have free will, you have it. Likewise, when you also say, I am scared, I'm weak, I'm sorry, then you are. Rumpelstiltskin is also 23. So recognize when something has been named for you. Reframe the story through astrology, through numerology, mythology, or your own truth, whatever it is that works for you. Whatever resonates, vibrates in a harmonic way with your soul's energy is how you need to reframe and name things. So pause before repeating the name you hear. Ask yourself, what would I call this? Right? So if someone says to you, have you heard about the new COVID variant? And they say NIMBUS. What would I call that? I would say that is someone's sick inside joke. That's what I would say. And so it doesn't scare me. What is the experience really? That's the soul level naming. That's what you're doing when you name things. So here's my call to you, your action. Have awareness. Be sovereign. Your words are spells. Use them wisely. Sometimes naming something robs it of its power. Other times it gives it form so you can transmute it. This power is neither good nor evil, light nor dark. It just is what it is. It's the power of speech. You are the word. The word was God and God is the word. Okay. So don't be afraid to name your own dragons. Just make sure they speak your language. Words or spells is 20, and so is broomstick. So that is the ancients. I hope that you have a higher awareness as we move forward about naming. The reason I really wanted to dive deep into that topic is because we are dealing with a Gemini sun and moon conjunct Jupiter, which all of that is square to Saturn and Uranus. And then we've got the full moon on the 10th of July in Sagittarius. Okay, so this is about Gemini Sagittarius axis, which is mind and knowledge, wisdom and faith and spirit. So to bring those two together, especially with the expansiveness of Jupiter, there's going to be a lot of talking and a lot of naming going on during this lunation, a lot of learning things, applying labels to concepts, putting concepts in boxes and giving them labels and names. So be very conscientious when you do this and listen to what you say to yourself and to other people, because it's so incredibly powerful. So numerology for this date is 76. When you use this format, you can reduce that to 13. The 76th element in our periodic table is osmium. When I see OS, I am automatically reminded of the Latin word for mouth, because when we decide to give a patient a medication, we have to describe the route by which they'll take it. They take it by mouth, they take it intravenously, they take it intramuscularly. There's all different ways. Inhaled, there's all different ways you can take medications. But when you see something that says PO, it means per os or osmium. Okay. So that just got me excited because I was like, okay, os, through the mouth. And that's what we're doing. We're communicating, we're talking, we're naming. All right. So this was a humdinger for me. Like, wow. All right. The date that we're analyzing, the beginning of this lunation, is a 76. And the os through the mouth is 76 in the periodic table. Wow. Okay. So yeah, usually this is how we take a drug: through the mouth, PO, orally, per os. Through the mouth in the phi cipher is also 76. This is the only example of the phi cipher I'm using, but I thought, okay, I found that. Let me just pop that in there just as an additional synchronicity. Per os in Scrabble is 7. Mind is also 7. So the mouth is the vehicle by which the mind communicates its thoughts. It's where the words, the spells, the speech is formed, right? And then of course, I had speak instead of mind right there. But speak is also 7 in the Scrabble cipher. So per os, mind, and speak. All right, this is also the 176th day. And I wasn't going to use this, but then I saw the 666 when we did the Scrabble cipher, because all of those letters of all those names, not the Scrabble cipher on the names of the storms, we saw 216, and 666 is, if you multiply those, you get 216. I said, okay, let me put 6 and 66 together in the periodic table. And it's so interesting because 164 and 12, which are the most common and abundant isotopes of these two elements, add them together and it equals 176. So we have the 666. So here's that charm, that triple digit, the name. You say the name 3 times. 666, Beetlejuice, 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 Rumpelstiltskin, 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 Nimbus, Nimbus, Nimbus. Okay. So saying the name is very important. And I think this just was a nice little punctuation to end that part of the decode. All right. So no more numerology. What I'm going to do now is to get into the new moon. We're going to do a quick read on that chart in general. Then I'm going to show you the full moon of this lunation in 2 weeks. Don't worry, we'll do another video on it as we get closer for those of you that have the short attention span and need a reminder about what the moon's like. But we will definitely do a video on that. But just to give you a dynamic picture of how the new moon shapes the full moon. Okay, so we'll get into that. And then after that, we will do the individual quick reads for your soul star sign, and I'll review again how you find that. Here's my past self reminding my future self to ask you to kindly subscribe if you're just watching, to bring those numbers up. If you like the video, just hit the like button for me. Put a comment below if anything synchronized with you, if you had any cool little coincidences while listening to this presentation. Mention it in the comments below. I really love reading those. And then, of course, if you would consider supporting my work and you're so inclined, join the channel. $4.99 a month. You get to join us on a Zoom call this week, the very first monthly Zoom call. We're going to dive into this full moon and you guys get to ask me questions about your personal chart. Okay. All right, friends, here we go. We have the Gemini. This is just like the sky I showed you before we got started into this presentation. We have Sun, Moon, and Jupiter all within 1 degree of each other, right at the early first 5 degrees of Gemini. Okay. Now, if you look over here to the left on these charts, if you all have Capricorn Prometheus, this is called an aspectarian. So the planet on the left makes the aspect to the planet on the right. So you have Sun, conjunct Moon, sextile Mars, conjunct Jupiter, square Saturn, square Neptune, and trine asteroid Lilith. Since Moon and Sun are conjunct, they carry the same energies through. And then you'll see Mercury is in a trine to Saturn, sextile to Uranus, trine to Neptune. And the reason that these two are the same is because they're also conjunct. And then you have Mercury in opposition to Pluto. They're approaching. So by the time we get to the full moon, that will be complete. And then Mercury's also in a square to Chiron and in a trine to Black Moon Lilith, and etc. So you can see how you can read these aspects just by looking at this, but you can also see it in the chart. So here's the Sun Moon conjunction, conjunct Jupiter. Here's that sextile to Mars. Here is the square to Neptune and Saturn. Okay, so we're going to break this down. I like to start with Sun and Moon first, then I go to the nodes, and then I do the other supporting aspects. So let's see what this feels like. Again, this is a new moon, so it is the birth of a new cycle. Gemini is air energy when we talk about its elements. Air is thought. It is language. It is the electrical power of the mind. Gemini rules mental patterning, subconscious loops, learned or programmed behavior, triggers, genius, brilliance. Jupiter is expanded moving into this space. Our thoughts grow louder, our ideas grow bolder, and our inner dialogue becomes the spell book we're writing with our next chapter. And the next chapter starts here on this new moon. There's a tension here because of this Sun, Moon, Jupiter squaring back to Saturn and Neptune. I really encourage you guys to go check out the video that I dropped recently called The Square. It's this exact aspect, about 30 minutes long. And it's a compilation of 2 separate, like 10 or 15 minute readings on this particular aspect. So check it out if you really want to dive deep into that, or if those are sensitive spots in your chart, you for sure want to do that. So Saturn and Neptune are dissolving old illusions here in Pisces. They're breaking karmic loops in the subconscious. And they're actually asking us to name what's really going on. Ooh, so yeah, this means that there is a subconscious undercurrent that is yet unnamed. And the expansive opening here in Gemini is to name it, even if it is false. Name it. What is it? What's going on here? What is the name of this thing so that you can get your mind around it? There's also harmony here. Instead of, just having this trine, we've got a sextile to Mars in Leo. Now, Mars in Leo is wonderful I have Mars in Leo natally. It's a dignified Mars. It's confident. It's radiant in service to the creator. And who is the creator? Who's the creator? You are. You, me, I, we are the creator. Mars in Leo wants to take playful action on behalf of your divine joy, heartfelt action. Combine that with the mental quicksilver of Gemini, and we have the recipe for brave and brilliant expression. It wants you to create, to move, and to speak. And so sextiles are opportunities. If you take that opportunity, it will yield you fruit. We also see a trine between Sun, Moon, Jupiter, and asteroid Lilith here in Aquarius. This is interesting. Lilith in Aquarius Lilith in general doesn't usually use words. It's through visions and feelings. That's how she transmits. So she speaks to your body, but through feelings and vibe. So sometimes she's hard to understand. Okay. She is the visionary. She's the revolutionary. She is the frequency of freedom. But sometimes we don't know how to say that. And I think this is what I feel like, that in this particular trine, we've got Aquarius, which is the highest octave of air energy, with Gemini, the most practical octave of air energy. It's almost as if the words will suddenly come for descriptions of the future. We might be able to see our future and to name it in the name of evolution, revolution, and freedom. So it's like we're able to name not just what we're leaving behind, but also what we're here to liberate. So this is a really nice energy here. Even though Mars and Lilith are in that opposition looking at each other, the angles that the Sun, Moon, and Jupiter make on it are a recipe for naming something you didn't have the words for and taking really inspired and creative action on it. That's what you're going to be doing this month. So those are the only aspects with the moon and sun. Next, we have aspects of the lunar nodes. So the moon's nodes are also part of the lunations. They're part of the greater eclipse cycle, because when you have the sun transiting over one of the nodes, you are in eclipse season. We are in an extremely liminal space with the lunar nodes right now, because we have an axis that we don't normally see in tropical astrology. Normally, you'll have a Pisces Virgo axis, Aquarius Leo, Capricorn Cancer, Sag Gemini, Scorpio Taurus, and Libra Aries. But here you see the south node in Leo and the north node in Pisces. So this is a transition energy. So the moon might be saying, okay, this is a transition month where we are sliding through a space we don't normally slide through. We only do this every 19 years, you guys, or actually every half that, every 9.5 years or so. So it's pretty infrequent that we get this axis between Leo and Pisces. It's very, very interesting. And it's only visible in constellational astrology because we use the actual sizes of the constellations. And so that perfect 180-degree aspect between the nodes will include constellations that aren't normally included in that perfect 30-degree 12-house axis. The south node's calling us back into our heart, into joy, into play, into childhood, into radiance, into love. And the north node Pisces draws us towards spiritual service, intuitive knowing, and unity consciousness. So I feel like now that our south node has slid out of that painfully trauma-ridden area of Virgo, and now we're in Leo, now we can just accept and love and shine. That just feels so different and so much more energetic and vibrant than the axis we had before with Virgo Pisces. So we should remember our joy while collectively dreaming a future that includes everyone. And can we name our pleasure as sacred and our devotion as truth? And that's really the biggest energy, I think. Oh, yeah. Venus is making aspects to the nodes. So let's see what is actually making aspects. It looks like Venus and Black Moon Lilith are the only thing making any aspects to our lunar nodes. So Venus in a sextile to the north node and a trine to the south node while in Aries, approaching Uranus. We're going to do a live Venus forecast probably next weekend, I'm thinking. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to dive into Venus through Taurus. So Venus is making a sextile to the North Node. She's a morning star right now. She's fierce. She's passionate, forward moving, not interested in waiting. This energy wants us to embody our values, to move forward with freedom, and to love in new and radical ways. As she gets closer and closer to Uranus, we expect creative downloads that are wild, weird, beautiful, untamed, unusual. It's a creative force that's assisting with our evolution. So there's an opportunity to move the collective forward in its creative abilities. And there's also a nice flow of energy between the play and the heart and the joy energy of Leo with the fiery energy of Venus. It's a very fiery energy here. Venus may want to just enjoy the senses of the moment, a fiery romance, something like that might pop up. But at the same time, that fiery romance could also be something that propels you on your spiritual path because of its connection to the North Node and to Uranus. I want to mention this supportive aspect. We've touched on it before between Uranus, Pluto, and Saturn and Neptune. This is the OGs. All the slow moving larger outer planets are in this beautiful combination that supports a responsible and spiritual and powerful metamorphosis, transformation, evolution. We are evolving right now, and these planets are supporting that. Through that evolution, we've got Mercury here. We've been talking a lot about words and naming, and we've got Sag and Gemini, and Mercury rules this lunation because Mercury rules Gemini. So this is very Mercury energy that we have here. So it's a good idea to just see what Mercury is aspecting. And the one I noticed right off the bat is this square to Chiron and this opposition to Pluto. This basically forms a T-square here. And this is pretty powerful. If we're thinking of spells and naming and words and speaking, Mercury is the mouth, the spell, the naming function of the psyche. And this Mercury is in dialogue with almost everything in the chart. The opposition to Pluto is going to pull foundational truth from the shadows. You can't stop it. Something true and hidden is going to be seen. The trine to Neptune and Saturn makes that truth tender and sacred and holy. The sextile to Uranus electrifies it. It gives it a purpose, a reason to change and to expand. The grand trine to Black Moon Lilith, this says, speak what has never been spoken. So it's almost as if Mercury is being confronted by Pluto and Chiron to be vulnerable, to speak the hidden truth. It's also supported in a very tender and loving way by the Saturn, Neptune, and Black Moon Lilith. It's like the Great Father and Great Mother are coming together to support the speech that you need to say, to support the spells that you need to speak. So raw, real, vulnerable naming, like name the wound, name the healing, name your own sacred becoming. And I think the support from the outer planets here gives this lunation a structure of a blessed metamorphosis. We have permission to transform here and to be supported, to name what was once unnameable and to do it with courage and creativity and care. So ask yourself before this lunation begins, what spell am I casting with my words? What story am I reinforcing when I describe my life? And what have I been too afraid to name? So I really think this whole lunation, especially when we look at this full moon, is about speaking it. Speak it now, speak it clearly, speak it with devotion. Wow. Powerful, guys. We are in for some interesting lunation this month for sure. All right, let's look at the full moon here. Looks a little different. It's 2 weeks later. Here you have your full moon in Sagittarius as promised. And then you have the sun in Gemini. And very shortly after this, probably the next lunation, we'll start to see the Sirius rising in the morning. That'll be the Egyptian New Year. It's right around the beginning of August, the Lion's Gate. So here we have this full moon with sun in Gemini and moon at 21 degrees. See 21, the 33s in Scrabble. Sagittarius. So this is the culmination point. This is where we get really excited. When the moon is full, there's more emotion. It's emotion, energy in motion. So we seeded this lunation with the attention of anything around mind, language, naming, speaking. And so now, under this bright light of Sagittarius, the truth is revealed, the real truth, the raw truth, the divine truth. It's a truth that serves the collective no matter how disruptive it is. Remember, not everybody's going to react to the truth the same way. So sun is forming, you can see this is really cool. The lunar nodes and sun and moon are making this beautiful trine sextile connection. It creates this sort of sideways diagonal box. And this is quick because the moon only stays in this degree for a couple of hours. But it highlights that at the peak of this moon, destiny is what's being highlighted. The south node and the north node. This is your evolutionary path. This is your destiny. This is what we're meant to do. And now look at where the node is. It's in Aquarius. So now it's about the good of the collective. It's about altruism. It's about the future. It's about inventions. It's about technology, AI, all of this stuff we are moving headlong toward that we feel like we can't even change what's going on. This could be a moment of collective realization, a remembering, a reckoning. It doesn't necessarily mean it's easy, but I feel like this is a liberating moon. I mean, we still have that cosmic support from Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune. They're still in that trine sextile arrangement. It's supporting that evolutionary journey. So even if that truth rattles us or it comes with some uncomfortable packaging, it's designed to awaken something ancient and future bound within us. This moon is probably one of the most important moons of our year, I think, especially just having the solstice. Mercury is right at the edge of Cancer. We'll only go into Leo a little bit, and then we'll turn around and go retrograde here in about a week, so on July 17th. And retrograde will be interesting because that will happen on the last quarter of this lunation. So by the time we get to the next new moon discussion, Mercury will be in full swing retrograde through Cancer. So yeah. Intense full moon, then a Mercury retrograde. This will be shadow period for Mercury too. So the conversation that the collective has been having is about to be rewritten. I mean, this shift here is pretty profound, going from Pisces to Aquarius, and then the retrograde, and then this axis of truth and wisdom here. This is the moment. This is the tipping point right here. Mars is also getting pretty close to our south node by the time the full moon comes. So we might feel frustrated. We might feel like our joy is being sucked away here. Like something that once lit you up now feels out of reach. Mars wants to take action. You want to fix it. You want to do better. You want to reclaim it. So this can be a tough energy too, just that frustration. And this is going to last a little bit longer than the lunation. Once Mars is into Virgo, which isn't always the easiest space either for Mars energy, we'll be past that south node. We might feel your energy coming up after passing this. But yeah, so south node usually is where you lose things, right? Where energy flows out. You gain things through here. So things are flowing out, energy is being lost. And since Mars is the planet of your action and your passionate desires, you might feel a little bit of loss as they conjunct one another. And then it will also depend if you have any other planets here in your natal chart. Let's see, there's some golden phoenix angles here. This one, the moon's making to Venus, will be very quick. I'm not even sure if it's worth mentioning because it'll probably just feel like full moon energy. But there's a phoenix between Mars and Chiron. So there may be some healing around the anxiety that's felt from losing your mojo here. If you lose your mojo here, there's a reason for that, and it probably is part of the healing journey that you're doing with Chiron. So that is something to think about, and that will last a few days longer than the Sun Moon Phoenix angles for sure. And then we have a Phoenix between Lilith and the Sun. So remember, they were in a trine before, and now they are in a Phoenix, and Lilith is retrograde. There may be some struggles here about what's good for the collective, what's actually true in terms of the revolutionary freedom type energy that Lilith craves. There might be some truth here that we have to deal with, words that we have to say. So I would say that if you haven't really marinated on the idea of naming things, if that hasn't come into your awareness, that something around this full moon will. Like maybe you'll realize something is just a name, or maybe you will realize the power of that name, because that's it. This feels like a realization. So if you haven't found the words for the frustration that you're feeling, this may give you that. This may give you that. Our deepest wounds carry our deepest power here. So the square here, or this Phoenix angle, and then the square back to Pluto. This is a reckoning moment. This is a moment where we might feel very frustrated, very sad, maybe not even know why. We'll lose some joy here if we're focusing on the discord energy of these trines. I think if we stick to the idea of the truth in naming, when something is named for you, what feeling does that elicit, and was that on purpose, and is it for your highest good? Because you don't have to say its name, right? Like if you don't want to call the Gulf of Texas the Gulf of Texas, maybe you liked the Gulf of Mexico before, but it doesn't have that name anymore. Now it has the Gulf of America, which is fine, but maybe you don't want to be all inclusive, so you just say the Gulf of Texas because I'm in Texas. That's the Gulf, right? So the naming of things is very important. Our political leaders do it to us as well, and that's the whole point of that little tangent. So yeah, what truth are we finally ready to admit, and what identity am I shedding in order to live more fully? Can I let go of the fear that truth will destroy me and instead trust that it will liberate me? So this is a moon about liberation if we're willing to name that thing. I think it's so interesting. All right, guys. I hope you're doing well. We're not done. I want to go through all of the quick reads for you guys. So I'll just say goodbye here to all of you because I know you're going to jump to the links, and I don't expect anyone to be at the end when I get to Cancer if you're not actually a Cancer. So thank you so much for watching this video and listening to my presentation. I really appreciate all of you that support my work and that comment and send me affirmations. Even if you have criticisms, I can take those too. Just be nice, okay? Because I'm just a human too. I'm just here to work and to find the truth and to help people. But I do appreciate all of you. I enjoy this work. It is my honor and privilege to sit and connect with the concepts and to bring them to you in a way that is understandable and useful. So stay tuned for the quick reads, and we will get into that right now. Okay, friends, this is the last part of this video presentation. We are going to do quick mini reads for this lunation based on your soul star sign. What's my soul star sign? It is your sun sign in constellational astrology. How do you find out what that is? Very easy. I would like you to go to my website. At the top on the menu is a free chart link, or you just type in /free chart. It will take you to the page where it's a web-based calculator. I don't even need your email. It will generate a chart similar to what we were just looking at. You want to look for the symbol of the sun, which is a circle with a dot in the middle. And that is your soul star sign. The sun is a star, and it's called soul. And whatever sign the sun is in the day you were born, or whatever constellation, I should say, that is your soul star sign. Did you see how I just named that thing for you? I changed it so that you would let go of your identity with your tropical sun sign and at least look at or become aware of your constellational soul star sign. Here's the book if you want to learn more about Ophiuchus. We talk a little bit about why astrology works, the fourth dimensional reality that we live in, how spirituality is simply a technology that we just don't understand yet, that we don't have names and labels for yet. And the middle of the book is all about the cosmic healer's journey, the one who is on their last incarnation and has graduated and has an awareness of how great and magnificent their soul is and the journey that their soul has to take. If you're in that space, part 2 of this book will literally read your life to you. You'll be amazed. The last part of the book is a reference section. So if you know where your Ophiuchus is in your chart, what planets inhabit it, then you will be able to give yourself a very thorough reading of the energy of the 13th sign of Ophiuchus, of the wounded healer in your chart. So check it out. Links are below. We'll start with Gemini. Gemini soul star sign. If you were born between June 20th and July 16th, the sun, soul, was in the stars of Gemini the day you were born. This constellation is ruled by Mercury. Its element is air, and its body part is arms, hands, and shoulders. This is a masculine energy, also associated with the third house. So you are, since it's your birthday month, Geminis, this is a first house solar lunation for you. Next month is a second house solar lunation for you, and on and on and on. Last month, you had a 12th house lunation. Okay, so happy birthday, happy solar return. This is a brand new cycle for you. Not only is it a brand new moon, but it's the newest of the new moons for you because it's your birthday month. So you get to take all of this initiatory first house energy with this and speak your own name with new authority. You can rewrite the story of who you are becoming and drop labels that never belong to you. You can reclaim your narrative with clarity and curiosity. Now, what this means is that 2 weeks later, when the moon is full in Gemini or in Sagittarius, this is 7th house energy because new cycle, moon is 7 houses away or 6 houses away from your sun at this point. So this gives you a chance to examine the names you've given to others, to release labels that keep people in fixed roles, to notice who calls you what and why, and practice conscious renaming in your partnerships. As this full moon lights up your 7th house, relationships are going to become a mirror for your naming magic. Are you calling someone the one who hurt me or my twin flame? Are you letting others define you as too emotional or not enough? This is the moment to reclaim the pen and rewrite those scripts. Every name you give to a relationship is a spell that you live inside. So name what you need now and name what you are no longer willing to answer to. Taurus is next. Last month, you had your birthday, Taurus, because you were born between May 13th and June 19th. So your soul star sign is Taurus. That means that the sun was actually in the constellation and the stars of Taurus the day you were born. This is a constellation ruled by Venus. Its element is earth. The body part it is associated with is the neck, throat, and mouth. A feminine energy, a feminine sign, and associated with the 2nd house. So since last month was your birthday month, you are now out of the beginning of your yearly solar lunation cycle. You are now in the 2nd house of that, meaning that this lunation is 2 houses away from your sun. So you need to name what is truly valuable to you now. You need to drop any inherited definitions of success, speak your worth into being, anchor your magic into the material world. So naming is currency here. What you call enough, what you call mine, what you call security, these are all spells that shape your reality. If you've been living under someone else's value system, it's time to break that spell if it's not serving you. Claim your own definitions, speak aloud what you're worthy of, and declare your value, not just in money, but in time, energy, and sacred focus. Because this full moon is in your 8th house with respect to your natal sun. So you need to name those fears so they cannot hide. You need to untangle from inherited labels around power and intimacy. You need to call back energy you gave away unconsciously and to transmute your story into sacred authority. So this is the unseen and the inherited energy here in this 8th house. This is buried names whispered in childhood, in shadows, in secrecy. Now is your moment to name what was once unnameable, not to re-traumatize, but to reclaim. Naming the fear, naming the wound, naming the patterns frees you to step outside of the spell and into the role of transmuter. You hold the pen, you name the new chapter. Do so with reverence and with power. Aries, you have an Aries soul star sign if you were born between April 21st and May 12th. Aries is ruled by Mars. It's fire element. It rules the head. It's a masculine energy, and it is associated with the 1st house. Venus is in your sun sign right now, and this lunation is the 3rd lunation in your annual solilunar cycles. The 3rd house is associated with Mercury and Gemini, and having Venus there adds an element of creativity, of desire, of co-creationship and creating words that heal. So you want to speak your spell with conscious precision. Observe the stories you repeat out of habit. Oh, we have a lot of those, don't we? Break the loop of anxious self-talk and let new language open up new pathways for you. Your words carry fire, Aries sons, because many times what you say becomes that thing. Is your voice casting clarity or is it casting chaos? You might be repeating old mantras without even realizing that they're keeping you small. This is your moment to pause, observe, and refine the spell. What are you calling into existence every time you speak about your day, your body, your life? Name it cleanly, speak it powerfully, and let language be your liberation. The moon, when it's full on July 10th, will be in the 9th house with respect to your sun. So here you want to reclaim your belief system from outside authorities. Are people telling you what to believe? You get to name your current philosophy out loud. You get to let go of dogmas that no longer fit your journey. You get to speak your truth like it matters because it actually does. You have to ask yourself, what truths have you been living by that were never yours? What names have others given your path? Too much, too strange, not realistic? This is a time to name your own gospel, to claim a worldview that expands, that doesn't contract. The words you use to describe your future are architectural blueprints. So say it differently. Recreate it with your mouth, with your os. Say it like someone who knows they came here to live a myth worth remembering. Pisces, soul star sign. If you were born between March 10th and April 20th, your sun was in the constellation of Pisces the day you were born. Ruled by Neptune, a watery constellation associated with the feet, a very feminine energy, and also associated with the 12th house. So very spiritual energy. This is a cardinal angle for you for your solilunar cycle. Every 1st house, 4th house, 7th house, and 10th house are angles in the solilunar cycle. So here's the first square of your year. And here you get to name the story beneath you, beneath your foundation, and speak healing over your ancestral line. This goes back 7 generations and goes forward 7 generations when you do this. Break old identity spells that were cast on you in childhood and rebuild your inner home with conscious words. Some of these names that you've had have been whispered in love, others in fear. Many of those names still echo in your inner world, shaping how safe you feel in your own body. This is your opportunity to trace those echoes back to their source, name the root of the spell, and speak a new declaration over your own lineage. You're not obliged to repeat the story you were born into. You're here to rewrite it. Now, the moon is going to peak. The emotional energy is going to peak 10 houses away from your sun. So you have the opportunity here, Pisces suns, to speak your mission with bold clarity, to drop outdated roles and labels around success. Name what you are truly here to offer. Let the world hear your real voice. This is not a vague or mystical energy. It is time to literally name what you are building. Neptune and Saturn are here as well. So if you're a Pisces sun, you're dealing with those bigger and deeper energies, especially during this lunation. So it's going to be about home and work. What do you stand for? What do you wish to be known for? And let go of the labels that others have projected onto you. You're not too sensitive. You're finely attuned. You're not too dreamy. You're just tapped into a higher vibrational stream. So speak it out loud, and watch it crystallize into form. Aquarius soul star signs. You guys were born between February 14th and March 9th. That's when the sun was in Aquarius. Uranus rules Aquarius. This is an air element. It's associated with our brain and nervous system. The gender is masculine, and the house is associated with is the 11th house. So groups and friends, inspirations, innovations. So this month for Aquarius soul star signs, this is 5 houses away. This new moon lunation is 5 houses away from your natal sun. Here you get to name your joy without apology. You get to let your creativity speak your truth. You get to reclaim parts of yourself that you once silenced and cast a spell of radiance and play. So here, Aquarius, what names have you given your gifts? Have you labeled your creativity as a distraction? Have you called your passion too weird, too extra, or not important enough? This is the time to strip away that judgment and speak your joy into being. Say it aloud. I am allowed to love what I love. I am allowed to be who I am. Your magic in the voice gives you your delight. So you'll see this happening. You'll be able to speak these things, the I am energy. Aquarius sun is better than anyone else with this 5th house lunation. If you start doing I am mantras, they're going to work the best for you. Now, this full moon is 11 houses away from your sun. Okay. Name the tribe you're calling in. Let go of titles that limit your place in the collective. Speak your vision of the future. Clarify your contribution to the greater whole. This is where, this 11th house energy is where you commune with the bigger world. What has your name meant in groups and circles and movements? Have you been labeled as something like the rebel, the outsider, the fixer? These names are only true if you accept them, and that's the whole point of this presentation. Is if someone calls you the outsider, do you accept that? If I call you an Aquarius sun, do you accept that? This is the moment to name the community you actually want to build. Speak your role with intention, not obligation. Let your voice call in allies who see the same horizon that you do. Capricorn soul star signs. You were born between January 20th and February 13th. That's when the sun was in the actual constellation of Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. It is the element of earth associated with your bones and teeth, a feminine energy, and also linked to the 10th house. Currently, we have Pluto transiting through early Capricorn in the actual constellational skies. In 2040, Pluto will be in the actual constellation of Aquarius. So we have a little while before Pluto makes it to the sign of Aquarius in this particular astrology. We work with where it actually is. So for you guys, this is a 6th house lunation. You're halfway through your solely lunar cycle, meaning in 6 months, you'll have a birthday and it will be your 1st house lunation. Actually, after you finish this lunation, you'll be halfway done. Then you'll start your 7th house lunation and you'll be on the second half of your lunar cycle. So these next 2 lunations are the peak of your year, so to speak. So name the patterns that define your daily life. Speak healing into your routines. Reframe the language around effort and obligation. And cast spells of devotion instead of duty, right? So what are you calling into your daily life? Are you calling in a grind? If you call it a grind, it becomes a grind. If you call it a mission, well, then it becomes a mission. If you call it survival, that's precisely what it becomes. So stop surviving and start devoting. The words you use to describe your routine become the energy that fuels it. If you've been naming your work as a burden or your body as broken, this is your invitation to rename both. Speak new structures into form, ones that honor your sacred effort and your right to thrive without depletion. This full moon will be in your 12th house, the house of dreams, the house of patterns. So name that pattern before it names you. Speak gently to the unseen parts of yourself. Let go of inherited karmic titles and whisper a new identity into your inner world. This is where the nameless energies live, ancestral grief, unconscious habits, silent fears. If you do not name them, they may quietly name you. It's about compassion to yourself. It's about calling your shadows in by name and speaking forgiveness where shame once lived. Let that inner voice become a sanctuary instead of a courtroom. You are allowed to be whole. Sagittarius soul star signs. If you were born between December 19th and January 19th, your sun was in the constellation of Sagittarius. This constellation is ruled by Jupiter. It's got the element of fire. It's associated with the legs and hips of the body. Its gender is masculine and is connected to the 9th house. Sagittarius, you are in a 7th house lunation. You're about halfway through your solar cycle. So this new moon is a 7th house lunation. It's 7 houses away. You're invited to name the roles you're playing in your relationships. Release outdated labels of the giver or the fixer and begin to speak your relational needs with clarity. Let mutual naming become a sacred dialogue. Have you been cast as the strong one, the escape artist, the free spirit? These titles may no longer serve who you are becoming. Use this new moon to name a kind of connection that you desire right now and ask, do the people around me name me in ways that reflect my truth or their projection? This full moon's going to just swing around and shine right in the 1st house of your sun. It will be right over your sun. So the peak of the emotional energy will be right over your natal sun. And you get to name your current self, not your past story. You get to reclaim how you're seen and introduced. You get to release old identities that you've outgrown and speak the name of your next becoming. What a powerful lunation for Sagittarius suns. You guys have your birthday around the winter solstice. And so the peak of your cycle, which is right now, is the summer solstice. You're in sync with the natural rhythm of the sun. You are the one being seen, being celebrated, being called into truth. But the question is, are you still answering to a name that no longer fits? Now is the time to update the way you describe yourself to others and within. Shed the labels that kept you tethered to old timelines. You are not your old archetype. You are the next revelation. People will begin to see that in the coming months. So speak that name, and the universe will echo it back to you. Now, Ophiuchus suns, Scorpio suns. I lump you guys together because the delineated line that is horizontal between these two is not clear. If you use midpoints, it becomes a calculated line, when in actuality, these two constellations are vertically in the sky rather than horizontal. So you'll see asterisks next to the ending of Scorpio and the beginning of Ophiuchus, because we don't know where that line actually is. We just give it the halfway point between the moment the midpoint of Libra and Scorpio is crossed and the galactic center is crossed. That's when we enter Sagittarius. So Scorpio, November 23rd to December 6th-ish. Okay. There's more Scorpio energy in the later part of November and much more Ophiuchus energy around the middle of December in terms of suns. This is still the same energy. It's more like the continuum, the ends of the continuum, whereas Scorpio is a creature crawling on the ground with stingers and claws and creepy crawlies. Ophiuchus has got the vermin in his hand, the snakes in his hand. He's holding it up to the stars and saying, yes, I control you now. So it's about controlling our baser energies, our baser physical energies. We're not just flesh and bone and meat suits. We're way more than that. And Ophiuchus helps that journey through Scorpio, through Ophiuchus helps us with that. And again, my book describes this journey in a very clear way that will help you really feel into what Ophiuchus is all about. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. The element is water. The body part are the genitals and the third eye, and the gender is feminine, associated with the 8th house. Ophiuchus is also the 8th house. We don't really have a gender for Ophiuchus. We give it both. The body part, unknown. The element is the 5th element of ether. And we use Chiron, the wounded healer, as the ruler of Ophiuchus. So you guys are getting a combined reading if you were born between September 23rd and December 18th. And interestingly enough, this is a new moon in the 8th house from your natal sun. So anything in Gemini for Scorpio or Ophiuchus is 8 houses away. Since this new moon, so we have sun, moon, and Jupiter, 8 houses away from your natal sun. You get to name the unseen forces shaping your choices. Time to reclaim your voice from taboo silence. Speaking truth into the shadows without shame, and let naming become an act of liberation. 8th house is about transformation, soul contracts, and energetic entanglements. Here, the medicine is really deep, but how often have you been named too much, too intense, too mysterious? Worse, how often have you silenced yourself because no name seemed safe? This is your moment to name what has long been hidden: trauma, desire, power, not to dramatize it, but to transmute it. And your voice is the key to this freedom. And now this moon will be 2 houses away from your natal sun. And here you get to name what you truly value, not what you've been told to value. Speaking abundance into your body, into your time, into your presence. Breaking spells of scarcity and unworthiness. And let your value system reflect your evolved self. Ooh, so this is super interesting. This is literally the story of this new moon, Scorpio and Ophiuchus. You guys have got to dig deep, name that thing, speak your truth, and scarcity and unworthiness potentially can slip away from you, which is amazing. I mean, it's not just about money, right? It's about how you name yourself when no one's watching. Have you internalized labels like not enough, too broken, hard to love? This lunation invites you to speak value into form, to give your voice the treasure, to say aloud what is sacred. And when your values are named clearly, your path becomes magnetic. You attract. Libra, soul star sign. One of the shorter signs in the constellations, born between November 4th and November 22nd. You may have thought you were a Scorpio because this is tropical Scorpio season, when in fact you are a Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus, sometimes Mercury. Libra is associated with air. The body part for Libra is kidneys, gonads, and the urinary system. The gender is masculine. and is associated with the seventh house, which is partnerships and relationships. So if your sun's here, Black Moon Lilith is also here. So you may have been tangling with some of that deep, creative, suppressed, untamed, wild, creative energy within yourself. And within how you express yourself too, because sun is expression. I express, I am. The sun is the I am, right? This is a ninth house lunation, meaning that the current sun is 9 houses away from your sun. Naming the worldview that inspires your becoming, releasing dogmas that restrict your growth, speaking your truth as a form of flight, and letting curiosity be your compass. The words you use to explain the world are also shaping your place in it. Ask yourself, have you been living under borrowed ideologies or inherited philosophies? What do you believe, really? You want to speak the name of your guiding principles and let the worldview breathe and evolve. It's not about like finding the perfect label for things anymore. It's about voicing the truth that sets your spirit in motion. Full moon in Sagittarius is 3 houses away from your sun. You get to name the loops you want to break. You get to speak what has remained unsaid. Your voice will be a sacred disruptor, and the spells you cast will be clearer using your everyday language because the moon's in your third house, Libra. So your voice, your words, your inner narrator are going to bubble up and out when this full moon swells. This is where mind becomes magic. Are you still repeating phrases that shrink your energy? Are you holding back conversations that want to be released? This is the lunation to name your inner dialogue for what it is and to shift it, speak differently, write it out, share the truth that has been living quietly in your throat. Your language is your liberation, Libra. And just speak. I think for you, it's about like letting go and not involving yourself. Just let it be what it is. And just let those loops kind of break themselves. Virgo, soul star signs. One of our biggest constellations spans 48 degrees of the night sky. The sun transits through this space between September 15th, all of October through November 3rd. This energy is ruled by Mercury, and I think it should be Venus. It is associated with the element of earth. The body part is the digestive system and DNA. The gender is feminine, and the house is the 6th house. So Virgo, let's see what you've got cooking. This is an angular house lunation for you with respect to your natal sun. 10 houses away from your natal sun is the current new moon with Jupiter. So here you want to name your role in the world with intentional authority. Let go of titles that keep you small. Speak the name of the legacy you are building. Whatever it is, just speak it, say it, tell people about it. Redefine success on your own terms. Don't compare yourself to anyone. You absolutely do not need to do that. Are you still answering to job titles or labels that no longer fit you? Do others define you by your service without seeing your sovereignty? This lunation asks you to step into a new title, one that you choose. Speak it aloud. It does not have to be conventional. It just has to be true. This full moon that's occurring on July 10th is 4 houses away from your sun. So you have a third quarter moon energy, right? For this full moon for your total yearly solar lunar cycle. You want to name the origin stories that you're ready to rewrite. What was that basic programming? What was that DNA code that came through for you that you can here and now rewrite by releasing ancestral labels that no longer resonate? Women in my family always, etc., etc. The men in my family have this problem. So you want to speak peace to your inner sanctuary. You want to call your foundation sacred. It's time to re-examine what you've been called by those closest to you. Ask yourself, have those names empowered you or confined you? Either one is fine, but if you're labeled and confined and that doesn't resonate with you, then it's time to change that name. Likewise, if it empowers you and you don't want to be empowered right now, that's okay too. You just need to find out what the meaning is behind it. It's also a moment to speak healing into the structures that you grew from. You're not obliged to carry the same story forward. This lunation invites you to choose what you will keep and what you will rename for your own lineage. Your foundation is being rewritten in your voice. Hello, Leo soul star signs. You guys were born between August 7th and September 14th. I love you, Leo energy. Mars is there with your sun. My Mars is there with the current Mars. So the sun rules Leo. So if you are born with a sun in Leo, your ruler is in the sign. This is a fire sign. The body part is associated with the heart and the upper back. The gender is masculine, and it is also associated with the fifth house of your chart. So Leo suns, this is an 11th house lunation, meaning that in 2 months, you're going to have a birthday. The full moon will be in your fifth house. So at the beginning of this cycle, the focus for you is to name your role in the future that you see. 11th house lunation, future, inspirations, aspirations, friends. Release the titles that no longer reflect your truth and speak your vision into the collective field. Let your presence be a lighthouse. This is where you're meant to shine unapologetically. Realize that you may influence others more than you think. Think of the names people have given you. Are you a performer, a leader, a drama queen? And have those names actually limited how you show up to your collective? This lunation invites you to consciously name the role you are here to play. Speak the title you claim, not the one that was assigned. Your words are going to ripple outward. So say what you stand for. The right people will hear it at the exact right time. Now the moon will swell and complete in 5 houses away from your sun, your heart, your creativity, your spark. This is where you're meant to shine unapologetically. What do you actually name your joy? Is your joy considered childish, silly, or unproductive? Those words are also spells. So rewrite them. Speak your art as sacred. Call your pleasure holy. Don't apologize. This lunation invites you to name your joy aloud and to reintroduce yourself to the world as someone who knows how to burn beautifully. Cancer, soul star signs. You were born between July 17th and August 6th. The ruler of your sign is moon and lunar nodes. The element is water. The body part is breast, lungs, and chest. The gender is feminine, and it's associated with the 4th house. Cancer suns, next month is your birthday month. So this lunation, this new moon and full moon are 12 houses away from your natal sun. It activates 12th house energy, dreams, endings, and the deep subconscious. Now is not the time to push forward. You need to name what you're ready to release. Speak softly to what has been, what has stayed unnamed. And then let silence become a sacred language. Close the chapter with compassion here. It's time to listen inward. There are names lingering in your field that were never truly yours. The ones whispered in shame or left unspoken in grief. And this lunation invites you to name what you're ready to lay to rest. So say it gently. Let it just dissolve. You're preparing for a rebirth, and clearing the space is your first spell. We have to get ready for our birthdays, Cancer. Now, this full moon will be 6 houses away from your natal sun. And this is all around your habits and healing and how you serve yourself. What names have you called your body? Name the rituals that restore your strength. You want to speak kindness into your daily rhythm. Let go of the labels tied to productivity and anchor your magic in small sacred acts. How easy is that? Just playing with a puppy dog like that is sacred. That's beautiful. Going for a bike ride, inhaling deeply by the ocean. Those are the magical small sacred acts. What names have you called your body, your routine, your capacity to show up? Now's the time to rewrite that narrative. You're not lazy. You are recovering. That's this last lunation of your solar cycle. You're not behind, you're becoming. So speak new words over your day. Let your schedule be filled with spells of devotion, not obligation. That's the real difference, right? Why am I doing this? Because I have to? Because I want to. The sacred lies in the ordinary, but only when we name it as such. All right, guys, I want to sincerely thank you for your time and attention. This concludes the presentation, and I will see you on the next video.